Did you know that there are many different ways to build garden beds in your backyard? Calvin is here to tell us about some of them. Some of them anyways. Hey, Calvin.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm interested in all these things.
Yes, we have quite the spread today of
do.
different garden bed materials.
What are we starting off with? What's down here?
So down here is a set of cinder blocks. So it's one of the most classic ways that people will build a garden bed. It's very easy, they're very affordable. If you want to go really hardcore with them, you can actually cement them together, but some people just stack them. And so I always tell people cement blocks are always easy to go with, cinder blocks are great, but make sure to tilate them like they are down there, because you're going to have, you don't want full columns of cinder blocks or they'll just pop right over.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I always work with that. And the holes also, when you have them tilted upward and they're facing upwards towards the sky, people like to actually put more potting soil in them and grow herbs around the bed.
I've seen that, yeah.
So
That's nice.
it really does make a good use of space.
So if we don't do the cinder blocks, but what about these?
So this is another cement alternative in terms of making a garden bed. What they are is these are blocks that are formed and they make a cross section. And so you can actually take a 1x6 or a 2x6 board.
Like this?
Yep, and you can just slide it straight into there. And it's
That's
just
super
like an
easy.
easy piece. Yep, and it takes maybe a couple of cuts to get the size that you want. You can expand them as far as you want to. If your cut of wood is too long, you can always just kind of add another connector on. You can build whatever shapes you want to. Some people make U-shaped beds because they can actually walk in and tend to everything in the garden. So there's
smart.
a lot of creativity, and it's very easy for somebody who wants to have a bed but doesn't want to get into it. And one last thing on them is that they're fantastic because you can stack them on top of each other and add another
Snake.
to get a higher bed.
Ah, that's great. So if you're gonna do this on your, I don't know, grass in your backyard, what do you put down as a starter?
Yeah, so if you're going to go put one of these beds down, I suggest using probably one of the most available materials we have, which is just a piece of cardboard.
Fantastic. I have a garage full of that.
Perfect, yes. So you can take it out, cut it up, and then make sure it's one layer thick just about, and lay it down in the space that you want. And then as you pile your soil on top of it, it gives the soil enough time to kill all of the things underneath it, like the grass and the weeds, so you have nothing coming up. And then it eventually biodegrades, and you're just left with a soil mat underneath. So it's a really great way, and a lot of gardeners use it, especially within Orlando, to build their garden beds.
Now you mentioned soil. I see a couple different types.
So when it comes to soil, many people in Florida encounter one specific type of soil, which is sandy soil.
Yeah. Just about that.
Yes, it looks just like this. It is.
Gray sand.
It's not very. It doesn't clump together very well. It's kind of just dry and sandy. When you run your fingers through it, it almost looks like there's dust coming up.
Yes.
It's very common. And what it doesn't do well is it doesn't hold on to water very well, and it doesn't hold on to fertilizer very well. And so what we aim to do, especially at IFAS, is to teach people that what our soil really needs most of the time is more organic matter.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so organic matter is really anything that was once living, especially plants and trees and things such as that have so much carbon in them that once they break down,
What about like a banana peel?
a banana peel,
Good.
things, yes, all types of plants, all these things that
Eggshells.
eggshells also.
Okay.
There's all different types of things that contain carbon, and so carbon is just like the building block for life. But what it does really well is that it actually grabs on to all different types of elements. So that nitrogen fertilizer that you put on your lawn in sandy soil, it doesn't have a whole lot of carbon in it, so that fertilizer and the nitrogen is just going to slip straight through the soil. When you have something that has a lot of carbon in it, say you've mowed your lawn but you decided not to bag it, so all of the clippings go into the soil, that would actually create more carbon in the soil, and that would grab onto the nitrogen going into it. So we kind of have this tale of two soils here, a very sandy soil that you'll see doesn't clump very well together, and then you have kind of a soil which is a great test is when you hold it together, it kind of clumps but can still break apart fairly easily.
What about this lovely thing here?
This lovely thing is also another way that we often see beds built. It's very similar to using guideposts, these cement guideposts here, but instead of using a cement block, what we have is we just take a standard 4x4 from the store and we drill 4 decking screws into it to make a post that both of these can stick to. So instead of having guideposts here, these would just be dug into the ground.
Oh.
You'd stick them into the ground
So I
and
was
you'd
thinking
drill. Yes, you were
it
thinking
was
the
this
other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do this way. Got it.
Yeah, so this way. So you dig your hole, you put down your 4x4 post, and then you drill in your 4 decking screws on each side. And it makes a very structurally sound garden bed.
So if you didn't want it on top, if you wanted it.
Yes, if you wanted a different look, if you felt like you wanted something a little bit more permanent, you can always go with a 4x4 on both sides
Cool.
of each intersection. So, yeah.
Wow, there was a lot of information that we covered today. Calvin, thank you so much for all these tips and the different ways that we can make a raised bed.
Thank you for having me.
I've been looking for different ways to create a few garden beds in my landscape, and so Calvin's tips will finally make this dream of mine come true.